Time for another episode of Circle of Trades. I'm Todd Studer, and we have both the gentlemen in today. Travis Waldstein, Serv Heating and Air Conditioning. Hayden Waldstein with Waldstein Plumbing, and all kinds of fun stuff happening today. How you doing, Hayden? It's been a while. We haven't had you on the show for a little bit.
Just been busy with work and then hanging out with the kids and all the fun stuff. So.
Well, yeah, you, let's see, you decided that it wasn't enough that you start a new business, and especially a business the size of what you're running, but let's go ahead and have twins too. Let's just throw that into the mix.
It's because I had so much extra free time. It made it a lot easier.
Exactly. Travis, good to see you again. Looks like you ran away from your razor this morning. And
like I said, don't worry. It's not going to stay this way for long, but I got a face for radio anyway, so it's all good. So.
Well, I didn't, maybe you were doing the no shave November thing or something. I didn't know, but
no, that lasts about 4 days for me. And I can't do it. My kids can all grow beards, but I can't do it. Hayden can't do shots and I can't grow beards. So, I got that stuff.
How's everything going with the plumbing side of things, Hayden? It's staying busy? I mean, I see your trucks out all the time, so I know that the phone it must be ringing.
Yeah, we're staying busy. I mean, we're finishing up some commercial projects, fire station that we're doing, and some other different projects that we have coming up here. So some of them, they're bigger projects, been a long time coming. Happy to go through and get them done, and just looking more into getting into the wintertime. Transition, hopefully a little bit more inside work, so we're not working out in the cold all winter long, but definitely staying busy. Can't complain on that.
How deep does the frost line need to get before, like, hey, we can't get into the ground, or are you just digging right through the ice?
You can dig through the frost. The problem is once it starts freezing, it takes a lot longer. I mean, there's no real good way to backfill it.
Yeah.
And it costs a lot more money. I mean, last year we were digging and there was 20 inches of frost in the ground. So, I mean, it's unfortunately when sewers break, it's not really your choice when they go through and break. And, well, if it's in the middle of winter and you got to dig it up, you really don't have a choice. And that's some of the stuff. I mean, if you can go through and do stuff preventatively to get till spring, great. If not, then you got to dig through it, which is no fun.
All right. Well, Travis, I just had a new business idea. I'm going to want you to fund this. We're going to invent a heated truck bed that we can put the dirt in when we dig it up out of the ground. So that way it's not frozen going back in and it'll backfill easier.
Heated dump trailer. We need a dump trailer if we're going to do it. So
I think that could work. Might be a bit muddy, but I think it could work.
Muddy and expensive to operate, but
well, that's
use a lot of diesel.
Exactly. I was curious, Hayden, getting some winterizing tips from you, because there's things that people need to do when the weather's getting cold. First and foremost, and the simple one that I still see people not doing is get those hoses disconnected from the outside. And look, I'm guilty of this, and it actually busted a pipe in a house that I had. And my son yelled up at Dad, turn the water off. It's in the basement. And I came down and it was just like I turned a faucet on in the basement because I busted that pipe.
Yeah. Every year, without fail, people go through and do it. And unfortunately, we've been to some of the same houses where it's a repeat occurrence every year. Always go through, recommend removing the hoses at the end of the year. Especially if you have a manufactured style home, when the insulation's not as great, do recommend putting over they make insulated covers that are relatively cheap that you can get from Menards or Home Depot to put over there. Just with the lack of insulation on the manufactured homes, it's a lot more likely to have a failure with that being an outside point. That definitely goes through and help. And then the other thing is ensure that your HVAC system is going through and working properly. Because like everyone, they love in the summertime, all right, well, it gets a little bit cooler in the basement. So they'll shut all their vents and everything down in the basement. Well, a lot of times up in those sill plates are where like the hose bibs and you can have some water lines and stuff run over there. Well, if your heat's not working the way that it's supposed to and it's not circulating all throughout the house, that's when you're more likely to go through and have pipes burst and have pipes freeze, especially on the milder days. It's not really an issue, but when you start talking getting into January and February, there's a lot more extreme weather. And that extreme weather, even if your furnace is running 100%, one, they're still at risk of freezing if you have vents closed or if your HVAC system isn't working properly. So, I mean, it's definitely something that you want to go check out because they kind of go hand in hand. The reason pipes freeze is they don't have heat. Well, if your furnace isn't working, you're not going to have heat and your pipes are going to freeze. So they definitely go hand in hand in the wintertime. Usually, if we go out and there's pipes burst at someone's house, 9 times out of 10, there's an issue with the HVAC system somewhere in the house that caused those pipes to freeze, whether it's lack of insulation, a closed supply, disconnected ductwork, um, not having proper ventilation to a specific area. So, I mean, that's one of the things. Pipes just don't freeze on their own. Usually there's a leading factor to that, and it's issues with the HVAC system. So, I mean, it's one of those things we go through and talk with our journeymen and with our guys about is if we're there for frozen pipes or there's pipes that have frozen, look at it and then notice the signs. All right, well, why did it freeze? Well, Mrs. Jones disconnected the ductwork and shut it off because when she was down at her craft table in the summertime, the air conditioner was freezing her out. Well, it's good in the summertime, you can close it, but come the wintertime, when it's cold in that room and that vent's still shut, and now the pipe on the outside wall burst, what can we do to go through and prevent this from happening again? Because, yeah, you have your immediate action of, all right, fix the pipe that's damaged, but then what's the long-term solution to keep this from happening again?
And that's a really good point. Something I hadn't thought of is just keeping that air circulating and keeping the house at the temperature that it's supposed to be at is going to solve an awful lot of problems. You know, that we've all heard that, you know, the temperature's dipping down well below zero and everybody's starts thinking about frozen pipes, but it doesn't have to get that cold for that to happen.
Water freezes at 32 degrees.
So with that going on, is there any other tips that you would have that say, look, if you want to make sure that you don't need to make the phone call, it's good that you're there and it's good that you can get somebody in there to take care of it, but just different things heading into wintertime that folks should be aware of to give themselves the best chance of not having problems before spring?
Pretty common occurrence like people have is your kitchen sink is generally on an outside wall because people like to put kitchen sinks underneath windows where they can look to the outside. So a lot of times you won't have necessarily all the lines freeze in your house, but the lines going to your kitchen sink, a lot of those times they'll freeze just because there's no air circulation. A lot of times to prevent that from happening, if you leave the doors open on underneath the kitchen sink, it'll go through and it'll prevent those pipes from freezing underneath. Now, it's not saying that they won't freeze, but it's less likely that it's going to freeze. Every year we get some snowbirds that they decide that they want to go down south and they want to save 50 or $100 on gas or electric, and they'll turn it down to 50 degrees in the house, and then they come back in the spring and pipes have burst and everything else. I mean, that's one thing that I've always argued with. I mean, people love turning it way down in the wintertime. It's fine on the milder days, but on the real cold days, that's when you start having issues where, all right, there's major water losses and everything else. Because once you turn the temperature all the way down, if you're going from 70 degrees down to 30, 40 degrees in the house, it takes a lot longer and it gives the HVAC system more of a chance to be able to keep up versus if you're going from 50 degrees to 30 degrees. If it gets real cold and it can't keep up and it's a short amount of time on there, you can have issues where there's been complete losses of houses where they've had to go through and redo the entire floor. Or there's one here 2 years ago where they had to go through the pipe burst in the upstairs bathroom and it dropped the ceiling of the second floor, the first floor, and the basement. So, I mean, wanting to save a little bit on propane or electric can cost you tens of thousands of dollars in insurance claim and everything else.
Yeah.
And that would be my recommendations. Just keep the house at an accurate temperature, or at least be able to go through and have a smart thermostat where you can at least monitor it and ensure that it's working properly. Because if you're gone and you're away, there's 101 smart thermostats that you can put in there, and you can be in South Florida and see that, all right, well, my house is 45 degrees. I should probably call someone to go over there and take a look at it.
The other thing I'd piggyback on that too is if you're gonna be gone and no one's gonna be there, shut the water off to the house. I mean, in all honesty, shut the water off to the house, or if you're gonna do it, have something in your basement. So you see a lot of crawl spaces where they have what I call wet switch, essentially. That's a valve we can install that that has a sensor on it. It's a wet switch, so if it senses any moisture or anything, let's say in your mechanical room or anything like that, to where it could shut it off. But yeah, if the house is going to be empty, it's really easy to go turn on a freaking valve in a house and just save a lot of problems. If it's going to be empty for long periods of time, that for the 30 seconds inconvenience, it means the hell to thousands of dollars you're going to spend, just like with what he said.
And most of those valves that you can get, they'll go through anyone like the newer houses. They're a lot more set up for like complete home automation, if you want to call it. So your smart thermostat can connect to your ring system, which can connect to an emergency shutoff valve. You can control all through one app through the phone, depending on which proprietary system you want to go. So like Honeywell has their version. Moen and a couple, I think it's Waze has their version. So there's 5 or 6 different versions depending on what server you like to use or what product you like to use that you could put in your house. You can control your thermostat, emergency shutoff valves, security systems, all from your phone. I mean, it's part of the feature. Multiple manufacturers and brands have it. So if you don't like one, you can look at another one. But I mean, it's a lot simpler to do it today than here even 5-10 years ago. A lot of the stuff didn't exist and it was a lot more difficult, but now they all work together.
And just to be clear, you're talking about shutting the main off and not just the valves underneath the sink of whatever particular one.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's an emergency shutoff main with the wet switch that he was talking about, and it's connected via Wi-Fi, or it also has a backup wet switch. So you can go through and manually shut that valve off with your phone, and it'll turn that valve off automatically. So say you get to wherever you're going, hey, I forgot to shut the water off. Boom, you can shut it off with a touch of your phone. It'll tell you, is that valve on? Is that valve off? And even if, say you get there and for whatever reason you don't have signal, it's gotten a wet switch that's attached to that valve. So as soon as that sensor gets wet, whether or not you turn it off, it automatically shuts off that valve, and then it sends you an email and a text alert that say, hey, this wet switch has been activated, the valve is shut off, and it notifies you, hey, this is the issue that you're having, and this is the point wherever you named the location of that emergency shutoff valve.
And this is something that can just be picked up at a regular home improvement box store. It's not something that somebody has to order directly through you.
It's more a contractor. I'm sure you could probably get one, but I mean, it's something that as a homeowner, you wouldn't really want to be replacing the main shutoff for your house by yourself. I wouldn't recommend that.
Unless you know how you're doing.
So, I mean, it's one of those deals like if you're going to go through and replace it, you better be sure that you know what you're doing before you cut the pipe to replace it. Because like most of the city council bluffs is about 90 PSI of water pressure. So if that valve's not shut all the way off, you're going to have 90 PSI of water coming into your house. So it would not be ideal.
Very good point. Is this something that you do a lot of? Are you putting a lot of these things in, or is it just cause to be honest with you, I haven't heard about it. So I didn't even know it was a thing.
That's why I brought it up, because I think it's something more people should do, especially people that travel or are gone for long periods of time. That's why I bring it up. So.
The people that have went through and put it in, because a lot of people are hesitant. It is more on the expensive side, but most of them that we go through and sell people is the ones that have had major water damage, major water loss, because nothing says yay like having to remodel your house in January and February because of a water damage situation. One, that means you have to move in January, February, March timeframe, which no one wants to do because it's cold out. And then 2, trying to do all the work and everything else in that time frame, it just goes through and makes it miserable. So, I mean, it's a peace of mind, especially after someone that's had a major loss like that. Some people do it preventatively. At the end of the day, every person's different how they go through and see it. Some people are reactive, some people are proactive, and some people are proactive after they had to be reactive. And so, I mean, it depends on your situation. A lot of people are reactive, and it's like there's stuff that you can do out here to prevent it. If you want to go through and prevent it, here's your options. I mean, if you want to go through and gamble and roll the dice, then it's up to you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I think, that it's easy to dismiss it as this is just a problem that has happened to somebody else, but it's not that common. So it's really not going to happen to me, and I don't need to worry about it. But, all it has to happen one time, and that is a very serious problem. And this sounds to me like it's a pretty good fix and a good solution to make sure that you're not dealing with this later.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is people value it a lot more after they've had major water damage situations because, I mean, you start looking at issues where, all right, you've had burst pipes or there's water damage. Well, one, you have to go through, get the pipe fixed, and then you have to look at removing, repairing drywall, and drying it out. And then you have to go through and look at putting the drywall back and then make sure everything's dried so there isn't going to be mold or anything else. So it's not like it's a 20-minute process whenever there's damage to water lines or anything like that. I mean, unless you just want to leave it, but if you want to repair it to the way it was before, generally it's quite a bit more expensive than just cutting a piece of copper and capping a splice into it to make it right.
Well, let me give you an example, and Cindy with the Service Master, or Rick Will, who's done insurance past. Anybody that does insurance or business group can, I think, speak to this. If you have a pipe that's up on a second floor bathroom, a half-inch pipe that freezes and busts, and it's running for a month. You see pictures of this stuff where a house looks like an ice castle, literally, because it froze and the water's coming out, and it continues to run until somebody shuts the damn thing off. And you're talking, you can argue which is worse. Is the fire worse, or is the water they use to put it out worse? So it's not just your drywall, it's your woodwork, it's your cabinets, it's your fixtures, it's if it your bedroom. I mean, everything within the house. I mean, so for a couple $100, for $200, $300, $400, you can save yourself literally hundreds of thousands of dollars on a separate repair. And it's kind of, an ounce of preventions, is a lot better than a pound of cure, So, and like you said, anybody's had to pay for that firsthand, is a big, you're doing yourself a service that otherwise could be a problem for you. So.
Well, and you've talked about, the snowbirds, the ones that are leaving for the season, but also there's a large percentage of people that just travel and, they take a vacation in the wintertime. They go someplace warm for a week or two. And all it takes is one cold snap and you've got a problem. And I know you're talking about something, water running for months. Water can run for a day and a half and you've got a huge issue. So, yeah. So just, I think that eventually just about everybody is going to be gone in the wintertime for an extended period of time.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, every situation's different on there. I mean, we've even put them in commercial spaces just because commercial spaces, depending, I mean, you have people that are gone for an extended period of time. Generally, residential homes, most of the time people are there throughout the weekend and everything else. But I mean, residential spaces, I mean, there could be time where it's 4 or 5 days, or commercial spaces where it could be 4 or 5 days, it's holidays or whatever else, that they're closed for business or X, Y, and Z. And unfortunately, water damage insurance claims, it affects businesses just as well as it affects residential houses.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're not exempt from cold weather and pipes freezing and everything else.
While we're on this subject, I'm going to bring this up, and this is something we've had we've seen customers deal with before. And when you have a water leak or when you notice a wet situation in a house, or you're thinking there might be a situation, everybody has homeowners insurance. Well, at least if you own a home, you have homeowners insurance, you have renter's insurance. If you have a leak and something's not right, or you don't think something's right, it's not good to ignore it. And to give you an example, got a customer who thought maybe in March she had a problem, but didn't really think much of it, thought it was condensated. And she waited till October or November before she called and said anything to us. So this went on for several months, and the homeowner, for whatever reason, decided to ignore it. Well, here's the deal. When you let something like that go on for months, there's this thing called negligence that's out there in the insurance world, that if you're negligent or you let something go and you create all this damage because you didn't make a phone call or you didn't stop the problem or whatever, you as the homeowner can become personally responsible for that, repair, especially, depends on where it's at, but listen, water can pop up flooring, it can mess with cabins, can mess with other stuff. So if you've got a situation and you're not sure, that service call that you might pay somebody to come out with is a hell of a lot cheaper to make sure there's not a problem, especially with water, than it is if you just let it go. You use the same thing with sewage too. If you got a sewer pipe, you let it back up a whole bunch of times, and then people want to come down. You want them to come to your basement and fix it. We got to come in. We've got to wear biosuits and all that kind of stuff, to be able to do the job that we need to do. Guess what? That stuff's not free. That's not part of the service call. And if it's a negligence part of it, you're going to be on the hook for it, even though you have insurance. And so if you don't think so, talk to your agent or look in your policies. Am I correct, Hayden, or am I not? I mean, you've seen it.
No, that's definitely correct. I mean, a lot of people, they don't think it's as bad as it is, and they're like, it gets poo-pooed and like, well, it'll dry out, and that's when you start seeing like major damage to like floors, rotting of joists, and everything else. I mean, especially you can go through and you can look through any house and you can see right away if it's had any water leaking from any amount of time, and the amount of damage that it goes through and causes. Can it be repaired? Yeah, but at some point, I mean, is the juice worth the squeeze? I mean, you can repair anything for the right amount of money, but some of these water losses, you start to see the mold and everything else, and it's like, I mean, you can fix it, but you're putting a lot of lipstick on a pig, and sometimes you question the integrity of the wood that you're going through and working on after it's been saturated for that long.
You, Travis, you talked many times about the service, getting on a service plan and having folks come out and do, from you come out and take a look and make sure that everything is working correctly. Is that something that exists in the plumbing world? Is it something that you can get people in there and say, we just want to make sure that everything's looking correctly? Say somebody's going to be leaving long term, and they know that, and they just want to make sure that everything is correct. Is that something that even exists?
Yes, it's something that we have as well. We've looked at doing yearly inspections, coming out, check, look at all the shutoffs underneath the sinks, fixtures, everything, ensure everything works properly, make sure it shuts off properly if there's an issue. That way, if you have to shut it off at a faucet or whatever else, you don't necessarily have to shut off the water to the house in order to go through and shut the water off if you have, say, damage to like a fixture or it's not working properly, XYZ. We come out, check that. Generally, it's once a year. We have that. We have a deal where if you want to go through, most people don't like hauling the 50 pound bags of salt inside. I mean, we have a service with that. If he wants to go through, we'll fill your softener on there. So, especially if you're elderly, I mean, if you got to bring a couple 100 pounds of salt in for your softener, go through and fill up your softener, you really don't want to do it. But we have some young strapping apprentices that are really good at moving big bags of salt.
Where were they at 7:30 last night when I hauled my 6 bags of softener?
Should call the office.
It's like the homeowner's version of a bar back, right?
Yeah. But there's definitely different options. We have some stuff where we can go through and compile them together with the HVAC and with the plumbing. There's definitely some different accounts that we go through. We not only do both the plumbing, we do the HVAC at both of those places, and bring them in salt and everything as needed, just to make it a one-stop shop. So you as the homeowner or as the building owner, it's a lot more convenient for you, because then you have one-stop shop. You don't have to worry about anything as far as like water filtration, HVAC, or plumbing. They just know, hey, one number, give us a call, and we come out and take care of it.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I think it's a good idea to have everything checked out. And I would also recommend for people that if you bought a house, within the last 3 or 4 years, and if it's one of the older houses, you never know what a do-it-yourselfer may have done, and it's good to check. And yeah, I know that you have the home inspection done and everything else, but it's not always 100%. And it's good to just have a backup to take a look.
There's a lot of farmer fixing out there, and I say that with family owns a family farm up in Northwest Iowa, growing up on the farm. There's a lot of farmer fixing that happens. So.
And that's one of the things like we check, especially like rural. We offer free water testing just for people to go through and just see what's in their water, and then see how to treat it properly. Now, once people know what's in it, if they decide to treat it properly or not, at the end of the day, that's up to them, and they get what they pay for. But I mean, the amount of people that have iron and nitrates and magnesium and sulfur and everything else in their wells, and even some of the city water, depending on where you're at. I mean, after going through miles, getting transported through 15 different kind of pipes going through the city, and all the other minerals coming through town. I mean, different areas of town. I mean, the city of Council Bluffs, it doesn't have super hard water, but it's not exactly soft. I mean, it fluctuates on any given day between 9 and 13 grains of hardness. So that's why you see the buildup on your fixtures and on and the galvanized piping and everything else throughout town. It takes a little bit longer. It's not like it's real hard well water out there, but it's by no means soft. We offer free water testing. That way, if people are spending tens of thousands of dollars building these custom houses and having these custom fixtures and everything else, putting a product in there to go through and take care of these fixtures, because it doesn't matter if you have Moen or Delta. For a lot of the stuff, it has a lifetime warranty. Well, most of the warranties, if you go through and look at it, whether it's a water heater or a fixture or appliance, you go through page 1 through 5, and 9 times out of 10, the warranty excludes if there's evidence of hard water. Water quality will go through and void more warranties. I mean, we've had an issue with a boiler that we were working on where it had some leaks in the system, and the boiler heat exchanger failed prematurely, but they denied the warranty on the heat exchanger due to the water quality. And it was within the warranty period, which unfortunately we had to go through and talk with the building owners like, hey, we're sorry it failed prematurely, but we gave them corrective actions to rectify the water quality situation. They chose not to rectify the water quality situation. And I mean, that's unfortunately with where we're at. And they got stuck when they're going to have to go through and pay for the heat exchanger. And it's not a cheap part. And it's no different if you have a fixture in your house with some of these people, they get some of these German fixtures that are brass or copper, everything else. They get really, really expensive really, really fast if they're going to like a Briggs or a Ferguson showroom. I mean, they're paying for top quality stuff for if it starts plugging up here in a couple of years because of water quality. And then, well, if you have to go through and pay for it, that lifetime warranty that you sold, if it gets, you get shafted on it because of water quality, you're probably not going to be too happy.
In a situation like that, is it water treatment or is it more a filtration system?
It depends on the water quality. So we take all of our water samples and we send it off to an independent lab, and then they send us back the water results, and then they send recommendations of this is what you need to put in based on the water that was sent in. So, because it doesn't matter your water quality, you could be from me to 50 foot away, you could drill down on the ground and you could have two different water samples. Because being 50 foot away, the likelihood it's going to be similar, but the geography is going to go through and change in that 50 feet. And you don't know what's down on the ground. So whether it's iron or the hardness changes, or if there's other sort of metals or anything like that, and it just depends with where you're at. Guess what? If you have a well down at the bottom of the hill and there's a bunch of farm ground up above it, the likelihood that you're going to have nitrates and all that other stuff in that well, pretty good. So, I mean, it's where you're at. It's sending to it. I'm not a big believer of the at-home tests. I think it's better to go through and send it to an independent lab. This is what these guys do 24/7, 365 throughout the whole United States. And, I mean, each one that we've put in, when we go back and retest the water after the fact, 9 times out of 10, it's spot on, or we just have to make little adjustments with the machine that they have. And the water quality is a lot better.
And the nice part with some of this water softening equipment in particular, that when we set these up, they're on Bluetooth now. So the nice part is we put it in, let's say it's a softener that they need, and we got to vented it. He can sit there on his phone and literally set the water softener setup for what the grades of hardness of the water is or what they're trying to treat, and it can adjust accordingly. I mean, it's actually you don't think of it as being high tech, but it really is. You know, of course, we can do filters too, like I said, but yeah, I mean, and even in the city council, you'd say, well, it's treated water. Well, it's treated, and I think he covered this to a certain point, but you know, there's base standard, and then do you want better? If you're okay with the base, you know, as my family farm in Northwest Iowa, the well sat down 50 foot down from the hog house. So that was, you know, so you know, and I tell this as a joke, but it's really true, you know. So I mean, so you know, so who knows what I was drinking? I don't really want to know to think about it. But the point being, if you want a base standard, the cities have a base standard that the state of Iowa requires, the DNR requires. But if you want to improve beyond that and not have to go buy bottled water or Brita filters all the time, you know, that's why we do the samples, and we can do what we can do. And it's not just treating a faucet or the refrigerator, it's treating the entire house.
How far out, Hayden, are you going with that service area to be able to do that service? I mean, do you have a radius?
Testing.
Yeah.
So we generally stick within 35 minutes or so of council wells, kind of like in a swath within that area. So, I mean, we do make it out to Avoca, Minden, Neola, get up to Missouri Valley and Logan here a little bit, and then down south,
Glenwood,
that kind of area. So just kind of a little bit of a swath. We do make it over to Bellevue some, but we go a decent amount. I don't want to go out too far and then not be able to go through and provide a service that people want in a timely fashion, because call it for it is people don't like to wait. And so I don't overpromise and underdeliver.
There you go. Well, see, that's just smart business that you're doing there. There's a lot of wells out there, though. You know, we live in a rural area, and there's a ton of folks that it's a good idea to have it tested, not just to make sure that your warranty is good on whatever fixtures you put in, but also because it's health. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on that could be in your water that can be affecting what's happening to you health wise.
Well, if you don't believe me with water situation, all you got to do is look over at Des Moines. Well, actually, Des Moines and rural water we've had locally, and I can speak more to Des Moines. Hayden can speak more to rural water and some of the issues they've had out there. But in Des Moines, they have for their water for the city. I believe they get out of either the West Des Moines River or the Skunk River. It runs right through Des Moines there. And the problem is most of that water comes from Northwest Iowa. the nitrates are so bad that the city of Des Moines had to stop using the water from that river because their nitrate filters could not keep up with the water quality of the water situation. You know, and so that's one city, but it's the main city in Iowa. But Hayden, you can talk about regional water a little bit. With some of the stuff that they've had this year with water, and it's a different situation, but it's still really important.
Yeah. With regional water, I mean, they've been providing water to a lot of communities here in Southwest Iowa for a while. The issues is that their wells that they have are running dry, and there's been issues with the wells running dry realistically on about 330th Street off of Highway 6 going east. There's definitely been issues with not being able to find water in wells running dry in that area. And I don't know if it's from irrigation from tiling fields or what it's from, but there's definitely been issues with keeping those wells up to full capacity. It's really affected the city of Avoca just with the boil advisories and everything else. Now, the city council Bluffs is to combat this has been trenching a line in from Highway 6 up to regional water up there to go through and pump them water. But I mean, half the summer, I mean, the city of Avoca was in boil advisory and everything else just because of low water pressure from the wells and everything else. And what a lot of people don't realize, you start talking about those iron ductile mains that they have in these small towns. Well, it might be a 10-inch pipe, but probably the bottom third of it's full of muck from all the stuff that comes out of those wells. I mean, if they think it's a nice clean pipe coming through the ductile mains, you'd be sadly mistaken.
Well, I'll tell you a short little story about, and I won't mention the town, but people that have heard me talk about it before know where I grew up. I was up there and I needed to power wash my mother's house. And the water system in that town is so bad that they cannot leave the pump running all the time. So had to get a hold of the guy and let him know that I was going to just be running a power washer so he could turn the pump on to be able to push water up to the water tower. And that there's a lot of little towns that are barely hanging on that have not been able to keep up with water quality like that. And this would be an example of one. So, get things tested, find out, know what's going on.
We've also worked with the city of Hamburg a couple of years ago. They had to put basically their old their tower. They had a tower filter basically that was junk. I mean, it was 80 years old, was full of crud that we had to go in and we had to I should say Hayden reductile that whole situation for filtration because they had to put in water wells. And then you look at a lot of these smaller towns are having to update their their sewers, their wastewater treatment plants. I mean, so when you talk about cities, you talk about development. I mean, I hate to say it, the water is probably your number one issue that you have to deal with any of these subdivisions and development as far as that's concerned. So, you don't like to hear that, but people want to be able to drink clean, safe water. They want to be able to use their bathrooms and stuff, and it's huge, and it's only gonna get to be a bigger concern over time. So especially as cancers and weird stuff pops up, what's it common? The water. Well, what's in the water? Well, and if you don't treat it, you're going to be susceptible to it.
Well, we need some type of positive thing to end on because there's been a lot of talk about some issues that are going on out there. So give me something. Give me something to right the ship, and we can end things on a positive note.
The Dallas Cowboys suck.
Man, I was going back to when I was a kid. I was a Roger Staubach fan. Loved that guy. Loved how he played. Loved it was and I don't know, back then it was either Cowboys or Steelers. There wasn't anybody else. There's only two teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was back when you were a Bears fan, right, Travis?
Yeah, I did at one time. I did have a rolling toilet seat for a shirt. Yeah, I did. So, but I've since grown up. So it's all right.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. A lot of good information here. A lot of great tips.
Here's what I'll tell you: if you see Hayden or Erica, and you see this blonde kid, you see this Jennings Dunker lookalike kid running around, gotta get the curls going on them a little bit. Get the mom to cut the front, let the back grow out, so that he's chasing all over the place. Now you want to see fun in the process.
Yeah.
So there you go. See them watching one go one way, one go the other.
Are you trying to bring the mullet back then, Hayden? Is that what you're saying?
Well, my kids got more hair than what I do, so it doesn't take a whole lot to make that happen.
Oh yeah, it's a blast. So,
all right. Well, guys, thank you very much for your time. And always grateful for the tips that you're passing on. A lot of good information here. So we will get this sent out, get everybody disconnecting those hoses, get inspections done, and also shut your water off before you leave town.
There you go.
There you go. That's we just boiled it all down into one tiny little synopsis there. Travis, Hayden, thank you much. And thank you for watching this episode of Circle of Trades. Back soon with another.